basically what happened to start the show, Jeremy Borash, he pretty much got the crowd all hyped into it. He pretty much came out and said, who in Windsor, Ontario could be the loudest in the crowd? So he would point to one section of the crowd and they would all cheer. He'd point to another section, another section, another section. And so he did a really good job of actually getting the crowd hyped up before the actual event, just by saying, who could be the loudest section in the crowd in Windsor. And then he went on to say that whoever could scream the loudest out of all the fans would actually get backstage passes to actually go backstage during intermission and meet the TNA stars. So all of a sudden, out of nowhere, like a guy who works for TNA backstage came out. He said something to Jeremy Borash, and then Jeremy Borash got back on the mic. He's like, we just got word from the back that AJ Styles doesn't feel that anyone in Canada deserves to get back row or to get backstage passes. And the crowd was just like, crowd ate it up big time. They started booing like crazy, and then all of a sudden Jeremy Borash gets back on the mic and he says, he doesn't give a damn what AJ Styles thinks for getting backstage passes, and that's all there is to it. And then AJ Styles ran out. He beat the hell out of the backstage guy, ran in the ring and got in JB's face, and all of a sudden the Pope D'Angelo Dinero comes out. Crowd was loving every second of it. He comes out to the ring and pretty much tells off AJ Styles and says that, we deserve the backstage passes whether he likes it or not. And this led to the Pope challenging AJ to a match where if the Pope won, then the backstage passes would be able to get handed out. If AJ Styles won, then no one got backstage passes. So although this segment was really good, it kind of hurt the match in a way, because as soon as that stipulation was put into place, you knew who was going to win the match. I mean, it was a guarantee who was going to win the match. So anyway, the match starts, and D'Angelo Dinero, to finish off the match, he was in the corner. AJ went to go charge him. Dinero moved out of the way, and AJ hit the buckle, and then just Dinero rolled him up for the win, and everyone got their backstage passes. And, well, not everyone, but the people who screamed the loudest and all that. Unfortunately, I didn't get one, even though I tried my hardest. But then after the match, Dinero took off his shades. He put his shades on after the match, and then went to the outside, and he gave his shades to a woman there who was sitting probably about 4 or 5 seats away from me. He just took off his shades and gave them to her, and then she had them on. She took them off and looked at him, and then I think she put them in her purse or something. But so lucky for her anyway, she got the Pope Dinero shades straight from the Pope himself. So up next, Angelina Love with Velvet Sky defeated Madison Rayne with a kick, and it was nothing really that spectacular. I mean, it was your basic average TNA Knockouts match. Up next, Frank Kazarian defeated Suicide. It was a damn excellent match, I thought. Really, really good X Division action. And there was one point where Suicide went for the Suicide Solution, and Kazarian countered it, and then at one point AJ Styles ran out and he distracted Suicide, and it led to him getting defeated by Kazarian with the flex capacitor. Then all of a sudden, they announced that they're like, welcome back to Canada, Earl Hebner. And Earl Hebner came out, and he was wearing a shirt that had his name on the front of it, and they were actually selling these shirts in the concessions, but I didn't buy one. He was wearing a shirt that said that had his name on the front, Earl Hebner, and then on the back of the shirt it said, "Yes, I did it," so referring to the Bret Hart Montreal Screwjob. Sure, many of you know that he was involved in it, so they actually put a shirt out for him that has his name on the front and said, "Yes, I did it," on the back. And he came out to, of course, a chorus of boos, and he went into the ring and he imitated, Bret Hart's arm extension pose, where Bret Hart, extends his arms and swings his arms, and the crowd was just eating it up like crazy. He did a great job of getting a heel reaction from the crowd. And all of a sudden, Mr. Anderson came out, and he was out next. No, it was actually Jeff Jarrett came out because he was fighting Anderson. Anderson came out and got a huge crowd reaction, and it was awesome to see him. He got into the ring, and he did his signal for the mic to drop from the ceiling, where he raises his arm, and no mic came down. and he just pretty much looked puzzled, as if to say, like, okay, where the fuck is my mic? And Jeremy Borash was also in the ring at this time because he was ring announcing, and then all of a sudden Mr. Anderson, after looking all puzzled, he again signaled for his mic, and Jeremy Borash just, what he did was he took the mic that he had and he, like, you know, dropped it down and plopped it down into Mr. Anderson's hand, and Mr. Anderson just looked at him like, what the fuck, get the hell out of here. And so anyway, the match started between, it was Mr. Anderson versus Jeff Jarrett, and Mr. Anderson won with the mic check, and it was a solid match. I thought it could have been longer, but it was a solid match. I enjoyed it, and the crowd was loving Mr. Anderson, and actually the crowd was loving both. There was huge Jeff Jarrett chants too, and Mr. Anderson. And then after the match, Mr. Anderson got on, Jeremy Borash announced Mr. Anderson the winner, and Mr. Anderson got on the mic and started talking down to Jeremy Borash, and he pretty much was telling him that, oh, you did a horrible job, and I could get any one of these assholes in the audience to do a better job than you. And to prove it, he actually chose a little girl from the audience and brought her into the ring to announce him the winner, and she did the whole, Mr. Anderson, and then Mr. Anderson did the whole wait for it, and she kind of screwed up a little bit. When Mr. Anderson did the wait for it thing and pointed back to her, she said Mr. Anderson instead of just saying Anderson, like, you're supposed to do. But anyways, she really enjoyed it. She had fun being able to actually go into the ring and do something like that. And Mr. Anderson also poked fun at the WWE too, like he was making fun of the fact that they're PG, and he was also making fun of the fact that it's always the same guys on top and always the same guys getting the main event pushes and stuff like that. So obviously I'm not being a fan of WWE anymore and agreeing with everything he was saying. I was loving everything that he said because it's true. So anyway, I was a huge mark for Anderson that night. It was great to see him live and in person, and he won the match. It was great. And up next, this was during the intermission after the Jeff Jarrett match. It was intermission, and I went outside because the beautiful people were signing autographs, and so I stood in a freaking huge lineup. It was a huge lineup, and by the time I actually did get to meet the beautiful people, get a picture with them, the next match was already in progress, so I missed a portion of the next match. And next match was Matt Morgan versus Rhino, and Morgan wins with the carbon footprint, and he was really playing to the crowd, Morgan as a heel, and crowd was loving it. And in the main event, the Motor City Machine Guns defeated Beer Money, and Kurt Angle was the special guest enforcer for the match. And at one point in the match, Kazarian did try to run in and interfere, but Kurt Angle got him in the ankle lock and yanked him out to the outside of the ring so he couldn't interfere. And then the Machine Guns hit the Made in Detroit on Beer Money for the win. And after this, basically what ended up happening was Kurt Angle and the Machine Guns stayed in the ring, and then it was announced that you can actually, since the event was over at this point, it was announced that you could actually go into the ring and get pictures with the Machine Guns and Kurt Angle. Like anyone in your group, all you had to do was pay $20, and you and anyone that you chose in your group could go into the ring and get pictures with the Machine Guns and Angle. And the pictures for this were taken by an actual photographer there, because not only were you getting pictures with the Machine Guns and Angle, but these pictures were also being posted on TNAWrestling.com. So unfortunately I didn't get to take the picture home because I ended up giving the original picture to my friend who paid the $20 for us. I felt since he paid, he should get the original, so I don't have that picture with me of me in the ring with the Machine Guns and Kurt Angle. But it was an all-around great experience, guys. I had an absolute blast, and also before the event I also got to meet the Machine Guns and Don West, and I got my picture taken with the Machine Guns, got their autograph, got my picture taken with Don West, and you'll see all this in the picture slideshow portion right after I post this one. But I just want to let you guys know that I had an absolute blast at TNA, and I highly recommend it. I loved every second of being there. It was the greatest experience I've ever had, and I would recommend to anyone to go to a TNA event, especially a live one, because you honestly really do feel like you're part of the show when you're there. And I can't say enough about how much I enjoyed and loved every second of it, and I definitely feel that I got my $50 worth for the front row tickets and all that. So anyway, guys, I had an absolute blast, and that's it, guys. I'm Madman Mars 2000.